What happens if you're not attracted? You went out with this person and, a lot of good qualities, passed the paper test, you enjoy his or her company, and in general, you seem to have a good time, but I'm just not attracted. Now, it's very, very important that you understand one criteria. Attraction is very important for a marriage. It is a very significant part of a successful marriage, and it's not something to be overlooked and not something to be ignored. And I would be very hard-pressed to tell a young man or young woman, go to the chuppah even though you're not attracted because the attraction will come after. I'd be very scared to say that. However, there are a few rules you have to know about attraction in general. Number one, you have to give it time. Meaning it could be you meet her on the date and you're not attracted right away. But many times after day 2, 3, 4, maybe 10, something changes and there's a whole personality that begins to appeal to you and there's a general attraction that starts to grow. You see, attraction is a part of the puzzle. It could well be, if you're not attracted at all, it could well be that that's one of the signs that this is not the right one for you. Because since it is a very important part of a marriage, it is oftentimes the way that Hashem will arrange that people don't fall for the wrong person. And she could be objectively very attractive, but I'm not attracted to her. And if, in fact, you've done all the right steps, and at the end of the day you're not attracted, that may well be a sign that she's not the right one. But the first thing you have to do is you have to give it enough time. When you get to the first date or the second date or something, when you look at a picture, she may not be attractive to you, but that doesn't mean that she won't grow on you. It doesn't mean it won't become much more of a sort of appeal to you. And oftentimes that's what happens. After a few dates, spend time together, this sort of chemistry starts building, and suddenly there's a very different outlook. And it goes for men and it goes for women. So the first thing you have to know is that oftentimes it does take time. It's oftentimes not to be determined on a first date, not even on a second date. And if there's enough there and you see enough common good and you see enough good about the person, oftentimes it's worth going out longer to see if it grows. The second rule about attraction is, and this is something that unfortunately Hollywood has foisted upon us, young men and young women also sometimes go out with the expectation she's going to be gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous, stunning, to die for. I'd like to share with you that that's a Hollywood perversion. The woman in the picture in Hollywood doesn't look as attractive as you think she does. The makeup artist and then the hair artist, and then afterwards they touched up the photo, and she is not as gorgeous as the picture is. But it doesn't matter, because attraction is one tool in the marriage that helps create a bond, but it's a tool. But that's the point. You have to be attracted, but it doesn't mean it has to be the most attractive woman in the world, and it doesn't mean the guy has to be the most gorgeous, he's 6'2", and he's handsome. It's a general sort of sense, I feel an attraction. I'm attracted to the person. So number one, you have to leave enough time. And number two, you have to know that it doesn't have to be drop dead gorgeous. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. Now, sometimes people like to use a line, I have eyes for this woman and none other. I don't see any other woman because she's so attractive. To be honest with you, such concepts are foolish. It's not true. Men don't work that way. Women don't work that way. And it's fundamentally not within the human framework to work that way. You could be married to a beautiful woman. You could be married to the most beautiful woman in the world. If you don't watch yourself, you're still going to have eyes for other women. And the same goes for women to men. So the point is, you don't need to be wowed by this young woman. And so too for women, you don't need to be wowed by his handsomeness. But you do need to be attractive. Number one, you have to leave time for it. And number two, you have to know that it doesn't mean this has to be the most attractive person I've ever met and I have eyes for her and no one else. It's sufficient if you're attracted. But there's a third element that really is even more important and often blocks a person's straight thinking. Many a time, a young man or young woman will say something like, well, I'm just not attracted. And when I probe, I find there's something else going on in there. You see, it is true that she's attractive, and it's true that she's pretty, but there's something holding him back. And what's that? I need a trophy wife. I need a wife who's beautiful. What am I going to bring home? What are my brothers going to say? What are the guys in the dorm going to say? And how am I going to feel when I'm walking down a block? Is she pretty enough? And this concept of a trophy wife or the opposite, a trophy husband, is a very, very dangerous thing. Why? Because it could be that this person is attractive enough, and it could be that this person is the right one, but you're not going to allow yourself to be attracted to the person because she's not pretty enough. And that's something that we human beings do on a pretty regular basis. And what you're looking for is the right one. You should find her attractive. She, as a woman, should find her husband to be attractive. I want to spend time with him. I find him an attractive person. It doesn't mean drop dead gorgeous. It doesn't mean phenomenally. And it doesn't mean the kind of person who I'll be proud to walk down the street with, I'll show off with. That's totally something outside the context of what you're looking for. You're looking for the right one, and she has to be pretty enough and has to find an attractiveness in your eyes. Oftentimes it takes a while, and more than anything, oftentimes it takes getting rid of the static. You have to brush away other considerations, forget what your mother's going to say, forget what your brothers are going to say. You have to ask yourself one question. Do I enjoy her company? Is she fun to be with? Am I attracted to her? Am I attracted to her? Not is she the most beautiful girl in Brooklyn. Not is he the most handsome guy I ever met. Am I attracted? When you ask those questions and you focus on you and that person, you begin to hone in on the key issue. And the key issue, he and I, is this a shidduch? Do we have that common sort of sense? Does it feel like the right one? And again, the attractive part of it is an important part of a marriage, an important part of knowing that this is the right one, but you have to ask the questions correctly, and you have to know that you're allowing it to take the time that it often does take.